I prayed for humility and I couldn't even ask someone for salt. Hey guys, today is gonna be my first video, like my first official video. A little bit of context. Last night, I fractured my ankle playing football. This is I guess it's not broken, but it's my first time fracturing a bone. I've sprained my ankle a bunch, but I've never fractured it before. So, let me give you some context into what we're gonna be talking about today. So, on Thursday, which is 2 days ago now, we do Bible study at Concordia, and I lead it. And the topics we were talking about, we're reading Mark 7, so we're reading the book of Mark. Um, we were reading three different sections. The first one was Jesus talking about the hypocrisy of the Pharisees. The second section was a woman whose daughter was possessed by a demon. And then the third section was a man who was healed by Jesus. I'm not going to go too deep into it. We separated it into three sections. And the one that, this is before I even got hurt, but the one that I focused on in the Bible study was the last part, the blind and the mute man. And there was three things that I pointed out. First one is that the man didn't go himself to Jesus, but it was his friends who, they prayed for him and they brought him before Jesus. The second thing was the humility, because it's not easy to let people help you, but he was able to do that. And yeah, just like that, humility. And so I was literally leading the Bible study, talking about these things. And yeah, in little did I know, in less than a day I'd have to deal with it. I was leading it and I didn't even think am I applying this in my life? And I think that's something that's common, is where we learn about these things, or we know about these things, but sometimes it doesn't occur to us that we're not applying them in our daily life. And so this past 3 days has been a real a kind of roller coaster for me, because it kind of shows that it shows how easy it is to say something and it not show in your actions. Recently, just in my life in general, I've been praying for three major things. And the first thing, the thing that I've been praying for the most is for my football um career. Um because, to be honest, I didn't play varsity this year, and it's been on my mind that it's a struggle to be striving for something better, but trying to still be rooted in something other than still centered drive. And yeah, so I've been just praying that I'll be able to score more goals, or I'll be able to be noticed and recognized and continue to play in a better way. I've also been praying because naturally, as we get older, people around us are like, "Oh, I have a girlfriend," you know, and I'm like, "God, when is it my turn?" And I'm just being honest, that's what I've been praying for. And the last thing I prayed for is humility. I'm like, God, please, give me humility. At AIA Athletes in Action, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and we're like, humility. Once you pray for it, like God's gonna humble you, and then you're gonna be like, wow, what the heck, that was crazy, you know. And I was praying for it, but I'm like, okay, I'm getting little signs that I need to be humble. I thought I understood humility, but at least what happened is teaching me that I don't even know the surface level. This morning, I was at breakfast and I sat there for 25 minutes without eating any food, because I was like, oh, I was with my friends, but I was like, I don't want to ask you to get me food, because it's just what would I look like? I'm a grown 18-year-old and I need someone else's help. I think that's a lesson in humility that I need to learn right now, especially in a period where I can't walk, I can't do stuff by myself. this is the kind of humility I need, is to ask for help. In the same meal, same breakfast, like I wanted salt. I always have salt with like my food. I was like, I really wanted to add more salt, but I didn't want to ask anyone to grab me salt. I didn't even drink water because I was like, oh, like I don't want to bother anyone. This is literally the opposite of what Jesus talked about. He's like, Jesus came to serve, and he calls us to be servants. We're supposed to serve each other. In my selfishness to not ask someone else for help, I was stopping someone from having the ability to serve. Um, I think that's a lesson that I learned today. It's just like, in this world we're so selfish, but there's a C.S. Lewis quote that says something along the lines of, um, humility is not. Um, I'll put it on the screen. I I was just thinking about me, like what would I look like if I asked, but like I'm taking away something good that could be for someone else. And I was teaching something that I wasn't living because I thought I was humble and I wasn't. And so, yeah, like that's a lesson. And I think that's why I started this channel, is that like I'm still learning. Like I literally, I was in the process of like editing a different video. I've been going through trying to read the Bible from front to back, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a video like that. But God puts situations in our lives at specific times for specific reasons. You know, it's perfectly timed. Like, I just posted my first video on my YouTube channel, and now I have an experience to share with you guys, so that not only can I learn and I can share my experience, but you guys are able to learn from my mistakes. I hope this can help somebody, at least one of you watching this, to maybe look at not just humility, but look at your prayers differently, in the sense of, you're praying for something, but God's not just going to give it to you. If you pray for humility, he's going to test your humility. If you're praying for a wife, God's going to test if you are like a worthy man of serving your wife. I'll definitely talk about it in the future, but there's so many things that go into being a good husband, and like, you know, to just be selfish and like, oh God, I want this, but I don't want to give my service and I don't want to give myself to someone else, then why would God give you, you know, something that you want? I really hope someone could learn from this.